Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and that Vision in the Dark, doing it in the dark. Oh, yeah, Rock Creek Park. Stephen Hill, welcome.
Hey,
how you doing? How are you?
Merry Wednesday. Pretty darn
and
fine.
To you and yours. Kwyn Townsend Riley, how are you?
I'm doing good. How is everybody else doing? Happy Wednesday.
And Myra J, how you?
I'm awake. I'm here. Yes. I'm up. I didn't oversleep.
Before you came on,
I want to point out I would be at Myra J's house, but she said I couldn't come to her. I'm in Atlanta, and I said, "Oh, good, we could do this from your house on Wednesday." She was like, "Yeah, no."
No, I told him I was going to make him feel at home, and he was going to have to do it from his car in my driveway.
Fair point.
And you would have interrupted Myra J's lovely nap, apparently. So
yes.
Myra took advantage of a little, as J. Anthony Brown told me today, a nap snuck in, and he took advantage of him.
Okay. There it is. Good stuff.
That's good sleep. That's when that happens. Not when you lay down and all of a sudden you're like, I can't go to sleep. But when those naps sneak up on you, ooh. Nothing like it. Why do I sound like my mother's and my grandmother's friends? Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's talk a little bit about Stephen Hill. You are in Atlanta for the time being.
I am, just for the lovely Shantae Moore's had four sold out shows here in Atlanta. Myra was at show number 2. It's great to see her in person, in the flesh, after so many years.
Yes, it was wonderful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Shantae was amazing.
You guys usually bump into each other in a club on board a ship.
Yes,
that is true. That's true.
That's what I told him. I was like, he was in the flesh, standing up. It was so good to see him.
It was great to see Myra. So yeah, just here for one more night, and then we're out tomorrow. Last of 4 shows.
Wow, tonight is it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about the remainder of the schedule in a little bit. Let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter. We would love for you to subscribe. It's absolutely free as we endeavor to super serve the African American community with our stories and various other topics, including social justice, politics, coronavirus, historically Black colleges and universities, little known Black history fact, and last but certainly not least, Kwyn Townsend Riley's to the rescue with our LGBTQ plus stories. And Kwyn, let's put you up first and talk about your story in which a transgender migrant is taking her case to the Supreme Court.
Yes, so this past yesterday, we had Australia Santos Zacharias, whose claims of gender violence and discrimination were rejected by the American immigration officials and was deported to Mexico in 2019, where she currently has been facing ongoing health and safety challenges. So on Tuesday, she went to the U.S. Supreme Court for them to hear her appeal. She is 33 years old and she's requesting asylum from Guatemala. And her case is basically predicated on this is a life or death situation. In fact, over 2021, based off a UCLA School of Law study, found that an estimated 30,000 LGBTQ people applied for asylum in the United States between 2012 and 2017, with nearly 4,000 seeking asylum due to fear of persecution on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender identity. And most of these people were natives of El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, which is where Australia is from. This type of case can really set a precedent for those who are a part of the immigration system. When claims are rejected, it would further strain the apparatus, already, backlogging and overwhelmed. So this is something that could really help folks. And she also had this quote in her affidavit where she said that she's constantly living in fear, wondering who will try to attack her next. And this is a person that has been attacked even when she was a teenager. She was bludgeoned after leaving work. She was sexually assaulted. She was physically assaulted, and as well as, like I said, bludgeoned unconscious at her workplace. So I'm hoping that in the spring, when we hear from the Supreme Court and their decision, their ruling, I'm hoping that they do grant her asylum and other folks as well that need to receive safety.
That's going to be interesting. And the conservatism of this particular court, especially, and seeing them come down on the side of first a migrant and a transgender person, it's going to be interesting. And I hope that your wait is not in vain. I just don't feel very confident about it, Kwyn. I love your positive outlook and hopefulness, but I got to tell you, this court never ceases to disappoint.
I hear you on that one. My hope is really just rooted in the power of the people, and so I'm glad that she was able to get some press about her case, because I've never heard about the 400,000 other cases of trans and queer folks trying to seek asylum, and so the fact that we hear hers is something that helps me try to keep my ears open when we think about immigrants, especially knowing that this is such a contentious issue. But when you add on the intersection of gender identity and gender-based violence, I think that's something we really should make sure we keep an eye out for too as well.
That's great. Okay, so one other thing I found interesting, what is it? And I asked this out of complete innocence and just curiosity. When they do a story on a transgender, is it necessary to refer to them in their former name?
You mean their dead name?
Yeah.
Oh, no. In this particular article, I think it was very perfect because they made sure to keep calling her by her preferred pronouns, she, her, hers. She's a woman. But I know that I don't think they even reference if she even has a dead name. Her name,
right? So that was I was saying in other stories that I'd seen about this, they had made a reference to the person that the birth name, a dead name, as you say. Okay, So, and they were very specific about, and this was formerly known as from birth. One article said. So I'm just wondering if it feels kind of strange. And I've got no horse in the game, but it just felt kind of strange in the way that people tend to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering, I'm hoping that it was with permission of that trans person for them to disclose like what their former name was. I'm not in terms of journalistic standards if they were, required to. I don't think it's a requirement, but I'm hoping that they just do everything with consent, because I know for a lot of folks that do transition, it really is a transition. So that former life, that former name is not something they're even like associated with. It's not something they even really want to disclose. So I don't think it's necessary. It's a fact, but I don't think it's necessary. So yeah, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I wasn't sure what the practice was. And I can pretty much say with about 99.9% certainty, they did not get her permission. You know what I mean? No, I'm very serious. I think that a lot of people they see it as their due diligence to find the name, but not to ask for permission.
Well, how can you have due diligence for one and not the other?
Because it's about getting the information, not about securing it in a proper way.
Dang. What happened to journalism, Sybil?
You tell me, kiddo. You tell me. Speaking of names, there is a guy in the United States Congress who goes by the name of George Santos. And not even sure that that's his name.
Right, yeah, among others.
Yeah.
Right. Allegedly.
So many different stories, so many different things have come out about him since before he was running for the United States Congress and flipped a district that was formerly Democratic in Long Island. And this was a big deal for Republicans to take over this. But one newspaper in Long Island did their due diligence, and this was true journalism, Kwyn, and found out that this man is not who he pretended to be. They talked about the fact that his mother died as a result of 9/11. They say that his mother died in 2015, and unless she, was a part of whatever the cancer-causing chemicals that came as a result of 9/11, that's not true. He did not go to Baruch College. He wasn't on an award-winning or championship volleyball team.
His grandparents did not die in the Holocaust.
Did not die in the Holocaust. As a matter of fact,
and he was not a member of the Jackson 5. That was
Are you kidding me? Now that I was believing.
I was like, Tito for sure. Tito for sure.
So all of these things, and who is George Santos is the headline for this story. And now, even since the story came out this morning, we've discovered more things that have come out with a different name. They call him Anthony, and this might be the thing that tips him over and really makes people angry, because a number of Republicans in New York have called for his resignation. A number of Congress members have called for his resignation. And Kevin McCarthy is just moving right along because he's got that fourth vote, and that's all he needs, just to keep, hear no evil. And so this is the story that might come and tip him over. There is a story that came out today that there was a homeless veteran who had a dog who was like his service animal, and it was a pit bull. The pit bull developed a tumor. And so the people who were supporting this veteran wanted to start a GoFundMe or at least a crowdfunding service for this dog to get an operation. And so Anthony, now that we know him as George Santos, said, let me start this and help you guys do this. And they raised $3,000 for the dog surgery. He got a hold of the money because he was the leader of the crowdfunding, and he disappeared. The dog died. And now everyone is up in arms.
Well, doggone it, he went too far.
Doggone it, he did. And of course, what animal lovers members of this country are. And so this is the tipping point. So later on, and later on this afternoon came the story that he not only does not go by the name George, but he is a former drag queen from Brazil.
Really?
Brazil is also after him for fraud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So Brazil is after him, or not after him, but the story has come out that he is known as by another name, and there's supposed to be a photograph of him in his drag, and that's when they knew him as a young Brazilian boy by the name of Anthony. So the drag queen part is probably not going to get him. The animal cruelty is probably going to be the thing that is the tipping point. And as a dog lover, I understand, but all of these things, he's talked about the fact that he was not a practicing Jew. He was Jewish, as in kind of, but not really. He was not.
Some jail-ish.
There's all kinds of questions about his money and where he got it, and they have linked him to a Russian oligarch who is on the outs because of the money that he may have donated, and beyond the security and elections debt limit, or not debt limit, but the limit that you're able to donate to people. So there's all kinds of things about this guy. This is going to be a fascinating movie, Stephen Hill, and I thought about
Here's a question. So what's the body of people that can remove him from his current position? Congress can. The Congress, the House. Senate and Representative, the House?
The House can remove him.
And the House is run by Republicans?
Yes.
This is exactly why it doesn't matter. He can kill dogs. He can kill dogs. He can spit on babies. He can do whatever he wants to. But there's no way the Republicans will allow the Democrats the win of having him removed.
The Democrats that are calling for him to resign?
I don't care. As long as the House is run by Republicans, there's no way Republicans will allow this failure to happen. Doesn't matter what he did. I know it sucks. It means once you're elected in, doesn't matter what your lies are. It may change rules for the future, but there's no way Democrats going to let a Republican person in the House. No way Republicans are going to let a Republican member of the House get removed. I don't see it. Anybody else?
I agree. I agree.
I want to see drag photos personally.
Say again, sweetie.
I want to see the drag photos.
Look,
okay. I'll see if I can get that to you.
Dressed in drag right through the middle of Mar-a-Lago. Okay. They are not going to remove.
Have you ever seen the movie Birdcage?
No.
One of my favorites.
Okay, so
Fosse.
Kwyn, check out Birdcage with Robin Williams.
I need to start bringing a notebook to every show when y'all make movie references.
Okay, well, add it to the list. Okay. So that's the story there. Take a look at that, and also there is a New York Daily News link that'll take you to what he has told people and what is kind of thought to be the truth about George Santos. This also is an episode where we want an issue of the newsletter. Want you to take a look at Black and Missing. Absolutely. Every Wednesday, give you an update on someone who is missing. This is about Nia Sandra Rash, who's been missing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, since the 28th of December. And take a look at her picture. If she looks familiar and you've seen her lately, please go to the Black and Missing Foundation. Among the other things I mentioned, the HBCU Corner. I am so in love with this idea. And this is Fisk University. Their gymnastics team became the first HBCU to compete at the NCAA level. This is a great story. A young woman from the Dallas-Fort Worth area had committed to a Division I school. And when she found out that Fisk, a woman, was going to Fisk to start this gymnastic team, she turned down the full ride that she got to the Division I school and committed to Fisk. And it's a great story, very heartwarming. And I'm very excited that we are covering this in our newsletter. So please go to SybilWilkes.com, subscribe. And we like to say it's still free in 23. And it'll be in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, just with the addition of your name and your email address. Okay.
And we can't say that about many things, but I'm glad to know it's still free.
And trust and believe, it's not easy. But we do appreciate people. And when you do get it and it comes in your email box, please open it. We would appreciate that as well. All right. So the what's going on, the question of the day. This is a result. I don't know if she'll share with us, but this is a result of Yolanda Starks White. What is the one thing you wish you could get a do-over for, that you would love to do over? And Yolanda, if you want to share with us your latest hairdo in 3 days, I would love if you would do that. But the do-over idea came as a result of she got her hair done. So this is what she had before. It was time to change it. And so it was time to change it. And she did something else. That was Sunday. And then now today she's back to the hair that she had before.
Now, so for those of you who do not who cannot see this visually, think of like if you had a really kind of chocolate Goldilocks. I think we'll go chocolate Goldilocks is what it is, with the locks really being gold.
Yeah, locks of gold. Yeah.
Yes, that's where she is now.
Very, very, very apt description. I think so, Stephen Hill. So think about this. Not doesn't have to be your hairdo. It doesn't have to be, just your day over. It could be if you had a bad day and you want a do-over, or a mulligan, as we call it on the golf course. But a do-over. Stephen Hill, would you like to relive your courtship of one Ms. Shantae Moore?
Oh, that's interesting. When I think of do-over, I usually think of something that was done poorly the first time you want to do it.
I want to make that difference. I want to make that distinction. Not necessarily that it's done over. So maybe it's just reliving a great experience.
Oh, and you nailed it. Clearly my courtship was flawless and successful. So I'm going to do my courtship was kind of awesome and has led to awesome places. So yes. Either that, or I wish I'd gone to George Michael's Faith tour in '88.
Oh.
Like when people say, what's your I don't have many regrets because everything brought me here. My one regret is I did not go see George Michael's Faith tour in '88. Other than that, I'm fine.
And mine is not taking Tom Joyner up on his offer when he was going to fly us over to see Michael Jackson's last concert.
I get that. Yep.
I didn't get that call.
Oh, sorry, Mark. I guess that's the value of working every day.
True that. You earned MJ.
Wait, was that the 97 concert? Was that 97?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hawaii or Europe?
It was Europe.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Because I said Hawaii, and he said, no, Europe. And I was like, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Kwyn, what about you? Is there a do-over, something you'd like to, either for positive or negative, something did not go as great as you thought that it would, and you'd like to do it over again, or something that was such a great experience you wanted to relive it?
Yeah, this is my father's birthday is coming up, so he's on my mind and my heart. So I think about how he dropped me off at my church because I had like a Bible study class or something, and that was like the most honest conversation we ever had. And he was like, "Kwyn, like I fucked up," and I was like, "Yeah, like you did." And like we had, and I'm like 14, and he's just like pouring into me like just his mistakes, but also like his vulnerability and like how he has like these visions and like dreams for me. So if I could get on that bus one more time, I would definitely like to go back at 29 and be like, Dad, okay, so I fucked up. So like, what do I do? You know, like,
right.
This is what I'm doing now and like stuff like that. So I'm thinking about that.
That's a great one.
That is great.
That's a great one.
That's a great moment to remember. My daddy never said that in our last conversation. But I was not quite 10 years old. So Myra, what about you?
I went to see Prince here in Atlanta, like the week before he passed, and he did 2 shows that night. And I went to the first show, and it was, of course, he's Prince. It's a wonderful, wonderful show. But I remember he did not sing Purple Rain, which I thought was so strange. And as I was leaving, it was a guy outside. And I had met this other lady, and she was a Prince fan. And he said he had two tickets. And she said, "You want to just take a chance and buy those tickets and see if he'll sing Purple Rain?" And we talked to the guy. And at the last minute, we just went, "Nah, that's okay." And we didn't buy the tickets. We did not buy those tickets.
Oh, Myra. Wow.
And if I'm not mistaken, that turned out to be his very last show ever.
Yes.
That 11 that late show that night was his very last show, live show ever.
Yep. And he did sing Purple Rain because I talked to people who went. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's incredible.
I actually want to come back to that later, not now, but we'll come back to that later. That night, that series of 2 nights was actually very, very special.
Okay. All right, cool. Yolanda, I don't know if we have people who want to contribute to this, listeners and viewers. Our friend, Ms. Bland says, my last relationship, I wouldn't do it at all. Yep. You would not?
Delete the memory and all.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I can't say that with any of my relationships. I think they've all benefited me in some way or another, at least to my growth. But wow. Yeah. Okay. Renita Bland, that's fair. Let's see. Joylyn Wright on Facebook says, I would do over college and add a summer abroad. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good one too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Kwyn, when you went to did you say to England and was it South Africa? Was that during college?
I went to London. Well, I went to London post-grad, but I went to Cameroon and I went to Paris in undergrad. Yeah.
Okay. And did you do a semester?
No, so I did a cultural immersion. So we each had a job over there related to our major. So I was majoring in communication. So I was on a radio show there. My best friend, she was in business, but they put her at the mayor's office. And then other people that were like in medical, they were able to like shadow nurses and like study OB-GYN stuff.
And that's really cool.
So yeah, it was nice. For a first gen girl from the South Side of Chicago, I still remember when I got that call and my mom was like, "You're going to Africa." And I was like, "I'm right." Like,
right. Oh, how cool is that? That is really, that's beautiful. That's really cool. You got some great memories to share with us today. Yes, Yolanda. Renee Woodard says, I would have started my 401k savings earlier in my career. That is a great piece of advice. I know that people don't like to, young people don't like to get advice and stuff from older people, but I'm telling you, the sooner you start, the better off you will be.
Absolutely.
Jamie
Ding, ding.
where automatically does it for us. I think my portfolio is already created or something.
Oh,
Good.
cool. Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, for all the others, like, I don't know. No, really. CM Williams on Facebook says, I would love to do college over, but only if I can go back with the knowledge I have now, not then. Okay. Okay.
I would do college over, but let me say this. My college experience was wonderful, but it was because of the social aspect. My closest friends to this day are still my friends from college, but I would really like to go back for the academics. I had a great
So is that for
social life.
undergrad? Was it undergrad or graduate school?
Both.
Or both?
Both. Well, my graduate, I got my master's in one year, so wasn't much to.
Dang.
Oh yeah.
That's how brilliant she is.
Check out the big brain on my
1 year, 1 year and a summer, and literally because they accepted me on probation because they was like, oh, this little black girl ain't necessarily a scholar. We looking at these grades, and when I finished their program in 1 year and that summer, they made it a mandate, college rule or whatever, that it had to be a minimum of 2 years because they couldn't figure out how I did it. But ain't they business? Just hand me that diploma, okay?
And this is before AI, no artificial intelligence.
Right. Right. Don't worry about how I did it.
It's good to hear from you on Facebook. If I had a do-over, I would be telling someone what I really thought of them, even if it didn't turn out as hoped. Oh, sounds like, okay, telling a young person you got your eye on, how you really feeling about them. Okay, all right. I feel you playing. Okay. Gwen Turner on YouTube buying my first house. Lots of mistakes made.
That can be an expensive mistake.
That really is an experience, an expensive experience. It can be.
That was my Dallas experience. That's for sure.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
not good. It's not good when you go to sell a house and you have to pay to sell the house.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out. It's not a good financial strategy.
Could you give us a little bit more on that?
Sure. We moved to Dallas to work for the Tom Joyner Show, bought a house in Plano. It was awesome. And then the housing market went down a bit. And then about a year later, we wanted to sell the house. Number one, shouldn't have sold the house, should have rented it and not sold it. That was the dumbest thing. And number two, the housing prices have been depressed. So I couldn't sell it for what I bought it for. So to pay off the note, I had to pay in order to get the note to sell the house.
God.
Yeah.
That's
and
those are things you learn.
Yes, but it's funny in this exercise. Like, it's funny
almost.
In this exercise, it's funny because I take it as like, would you do something over? And part of it is the answer is like, it's hard to say yes because that puts me in a different place than where I am right now. And so, like, if you could step back and do something and be sure to get back here, it's a different answer. But like, it's hard to change something when like I really don't want to be anywhere else than where I am right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because you want to be where she is. Barbara Ferguson on YouTube says, I love my daughter and she will be 26 this month. But if I could choose another father, I would.
This your new daddy, okay? Don't ask me nothing, but this your dad. I am the father now. I am your father now.
Baby girl, we're gonna take it back 27 years, and you'll be fine.
Wow.
With, everything you are right now, it's gonna be much better for all of us.
There's a movie in that somewhere.
Dad's Go Clothing on YouTube says, I would have attended an HBCU. Yeah, a lot of folks say that. Myra, you sent your son to one. Would you have gone to an HBCU?
I wanted to. I was all set on Grambling, and my mother refused. Like, nope, because the HBCUs were too far. That literally, that's how I ended up 2 hours away at Illinois State because she didn't want me to leave the state.
Got it. Yeah.
So, yep.
Kwyn, what about you?
I think it's hard to say because what Steven said as far as like we wouldn't have ended up where we are right now. And I think also because like, I pledged undergrad, like UD really it's crucial to my becoming as an organizer, as an activist. If those white people didn't piss me off, y'all wouldn't see me here today. I am grateful for that type of anger and rage. I'm grateful for that type of isolation that I experienced. And I met, my best friends. Poetry is where I started in the day in Ohio. So yeah, I feel like I went where I was supposed to be, but sometimes I am curious with like who else I could have been if I did go to Spelman, if I did go to Howard, and I'm wondering if I would still be who I am today. Probably, but I don't know. We'll see.
Stephen Hill, what if you had followed in your dad's footsteps?
I would have gone Alpha, that's for sure. I would have followed his footsteps there as well. I don't know. It obviously been a completely different life. And I'd probably be in banking somewhere. I'd be my guess. I'd be in banking.
Yeah. Or
Stephen Hill, the passionate banker.
The musical banker.
About right, exactly.
Yolanda, I think you had one you're going to throw up there before we interrupted you. I think it was somebody NBA. Yeah, there we go. Kendrick Jackson, NBA on YouTube says, I would have bought Apple stock. I hear you, player. When it first hit Wall Street and held on to it for dear life. I am with you, Kendrick. Kendrick Jackson, you and I are right there. I think about that. And I think about George Wallace giving me advice about buying stocks back in the day, Myra. Do you?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to us, and I was like, I don't understand it. So,
Dora Levette Tiggs on Facebook says, I would have adopted a couple of children when I found out that I couldn't have my own. Wow.
Oh,
that's really powerful.
I get that.
Nice.
I do too. Speaking of which, how is the young Ward?
Young Ward is doing well. He's choosing between a couple of colleges right now. He got into them early. We're waiting for one more to come up in March, and he is marching through his senior year. We're just trying to keep him from starting senior spring too early. Just let the rains fall before your grades do, player. Please, that's all. Please, I'm begging you.
That's a good thing to do over too. Yeah. That's something to think about. Absolutely. Yep. Wow, that's good stuff. Yolanda, do we have any more before we move on? Robert Ferguson says, I wouldn't have effed up my credit. It took a long time to get it back to 750. Go ahead, Bragger. Working to make it higher. Go on to 800. Come on, Barbara.
Can I get 775? Can I get an 8? Can I get an 8?
Can I get 801? Get 820? 820. Okay.
I messed up my credit so much. Here's the thing: when you're young and you don't have anything, credit meant nothing to me. Oh no! But if you don't pay that bill, especially before everything was computerized, you get your phone cut off, just get it turned on in another name. What? Back in the day, I had 9,000 different names for my utility. How did I cut it off?
Myra, did you ever put a bill in your kid's name?
Me?
Yes.
No. Oh, no, you just made up a name. I kid you not. And now that I look back, this was so wrong. But so forgive me, Kwyn, before you say anything. But
okay,
I got my phone cut off, and I used the name Maria Gonzalez, and I'm sitting down at Pac Bell in a sombrero. And wait, here's the worst part. They were calling me. I'm sitting in the line. Like, they need to come on so they can move this
with a sombrero.
Myra, of all the stories I've ever heard from you, I've never heard that one, and that is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it was a whole nother life back then.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Forgive me, please, all my Latinx sisters.
Well, let's think about this as we are living our best lives and think about, how we, things that we might want to do over, or if we have the opportunity to do it, not putting, things in other people's names or being,
Spanish?
stereotypical.
You know Spanish, Mom?
A little bit.
Un poco.
You're not going to live in Los Angeles a long time and not pick up some Spanish. That's the truth.
Let's move to our trending topics. And Myra, while you're on a roll, where are you going to be performing next and under what name?
Oh, well, Senora J.
Mira.
I believe myself and so far George Wallace, we're going to be at the Miami Improv February 17th, 18th, and 19th. So
it'll be post Valentine's Day weekend.
Yep. Look, come on out and get your laugh on, because ain't nobody buying flowers because they buying eggs. So you may as well just
yeah.
Hilarious.
That's what hilarious. Later for a dozen roses, sisters, we getting a dozen eggs.
Okay, whatever you need to do to get that paid. I hear you. So March, I'm sorry, I was thinking March for your birthday. February 17th,
18th, and 19th, yes.
And you'll be down in one of your favorite places.
Bien bonito a Miami. Ay, papi.
Okay. All right.
Stephen Hill, what about you?
Well, since
where will you be traveling?
Since there's actually going on a honeymoon, we're going on a honeymoon next week. And since there's no place that Shantae has tickets on sale where you can buy them right now, it's all sold out. I'd rather take this time to take 30 seconds to tell two things that people rarely put together. The night Myra went to go see Prince was the last night he went to perform. My friend Shaka went to that show. And the reason Shaka went to that show is because the night before that, he took an overnight flight from LA to Atlanta to make it to that show, because we were sitting at the same place. And he said, I'm going to stay in LA, or I might go back to Atlanta for the show. And I had seen that show, and I said, make sure you go back to Atlanta for that show. Please make sure you go back to Atlanta, because it's amazing. So we were sitting in the same place, and that same place we were sitting was Kobe Bryant's last game for the Lakers. Kobe Bryant's last game for the Lakers was the night before Prince's last concert ever.
Wow.
And people rarely put those two things together. When I realized, I sat there and I literally said, no, he took the overnight flight to Atlanta so he could make that show that night.
Wow.
And so Kobe's last name was on one night, last game was on night, Prince's last show was on the other.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Thank you.
And your friend Shaka was there for both.
Shaka was there for both. I stayed in LA. Yeah, Shaka was there for both.
Wow, that's incredible. That really is incredible. Young Kwyn, I saw you on stage at your school, and were you speaking? Were you giving us poetic words?
Yes, I was asked to deliver a poem for the Martin Luther King celebration at James Madison University. You guys can watch it on YouTube. The keynote speaker was Dr. Martin, who is the director of the Stanford Institute for MLK Research. And he was absolutely prolific, very transportational of a speech. If you guys want to watch it, really about Martin Luther King and his real legacy and his three tenets that he championed for, poverty, racism, and anti-militarism. So I delivered a poem. I just wrote the poem like the day before, because it took me forever. Myra, we talk about creativity. And I was just sitting there watching documentaries and watching YouTube videos. I can write this now. And I finally just wrote it. And everybody loved it. Everybody really liked
it. Good.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yes. So
That's
in terms of upcoming shows, February 4th, I'll be back in Chicago. I have a show at Greater Rock Church for Black History Month, because now today officially is Black History Month. So everybody can go see me there in Chicago. And then February 10th, I have my first feature in DC at Bus Boys and Poets. So please make sure to come out to Bus Boys and Poets DC on February 10th. I don't know if I'll have my braids in by then, but we'll see. But yeah.
Well, if you're like Yolanda Starks and white and you get a do-over, it'll be a different hairstyle.
I know if I can pay for it. These cost $200, so they may do it for a while.
Well, maybe your credit rating will have to go down a little bit in order to do
I'm going to ask her for a loan, a grant, may put on a sombrero and start a new Cash App and do a different name. I don't know.
That's funny. That's very funny. Speaking of Dr. King, a newspaper in Maine was criticized for publishing a truncated version of the I Have a Dream speech. They said that, and they have offered an apology. The Bangor Daily News said that it used an abridged version of the speech several times over the last several years, but it was criticized by a historian, a cable news show host, and others for whitewashing the address over the weekend. The editorial board wrote this week that editors believe the speech at 1,600 words was too long to run in its entirety as an editorial, but added that our thinking needs to be revisited. Some of the removed passages refer to Jim Crow laws, vicious, racist, and unspeakable horrors of police brutality. Every year, Dr. King's daughter, Reverend Bernice King, warns about distorting her father's words. She tweeted Monday that her father's dream was not palpable to the white masses, and she added, "We need to know the authentic king, the inconvenient king." The newspaper's editorial board said it understood its error after hearing directly from several people who explained the edited message ignored the essence of Dr. King's speech and was damaging to Black Mainers. Not to mention all those kids who have memorized the King's speech all these years, and they could recite it word for word, and they're looking up, hey, something's missing here.
I have a dream. I have a dream that white people and Black people. I have a dream that white people, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholic, white people, Gentiles, Catholics.
The end. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, no, so they're going to make good on that, I guess, next year. And from our Be Careful What You Ask For, an Ohio woman got beat up, punched in the head by Ohio cops, and this is on camera. And why? Because she did not get the extra cheese on her Big Mac. She was angry. They called the police. The police came, and she was trying to tell them, and apparently they are now investigating what's described as a pretty horrifying clip of cops pummeling a woman, and it all started after a complaint about a lack of cheese on a Big Mac. In the video, you see two officers attempting to detain Latinka Hancock in Butler Township, Ohio. After some arguing, you can see one of the cops punch her in the head multiple times before getting the cuffs on her, and yes, she is.
Yeah, it feels like Sybil. It feels like you haven't quite filled the reasonability chasm between ordering a Big Mac, failing to have cheese, and being pummeled. Like it feels like there's some kind of there's some events or actions that happen.
There's a gap. You're right, a chasm. You're right.
There's a chasm. There's a reasonability chasm between the two.
Yeah. Her attorney said it all went down after she ordered and paid for a Big Mac at McDonald's with extra cheese. She claims the order did not come with the extra cheese. The employees ended up calling the cops on her after things got heated and insists she was confronted by the Butler Township PD after trying to leave. She said her lawyer says she was punched repeatedly in the head, was sent to the hospital where she was diagnosed with a head trauma. So when you want your extra cheese, you want your extra cheese, obviously, but
that's not having it your way, though.
Was she?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Was she treated by Dr. McStuffins? No, it's different.
It's a different Mac.
Different Mac.
But doesn't it not to justify what happened in any meeting, but doesn't it seem like that more people are getting angry and coming across the counter though? Or are these just the people that I noticed posting stuff on social media? I've seen more people come across the counter and attack workers over an order. You forgot my fries. I don't have ketchup. I'm missing the nugget. And people want to come across.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem. But for these other things, I don't understand because obviously the customer is not always right anymore. And so just give her a Big Mac with the extra cheese. Pile it on.
Yeah, I think people are frustrated. I think this. I truly believe this is something that is pandemic exacerbated. Right?
Yeah,
People are frustrated. It's not just the customers; it's the people behind there who are like, "Who are you to talk to me like this? I got to make my money and get going." So instead of it being like you said, the customer's always right. It's like, yo, catch these hands.
Right.
I'm ready to. You heard of quiet quitting? I'm about to be fired real loud. I'm going to be fired real loud.
To me, everyone
and be okay.
Everyone deserves respect, and it seems as though it's this unspoken attitude. But because you're a minimum wage worker, I can just treat you any kind of way. And to me, one of the last people you need to be disrespecting is somebody who's making minimum wage. Because I'm already making minimum wage. I am not going to be. You are not going to come across this counter and slap me in the face over some ketchup. Period. Because I bet you I get another minimum wage job. Okay?
There's two things that you should not be messing with people that one, I'm making minimum wage, and number two, making your food.
Your food.
You don't want to mess with people who are doing those two things.
Right.
At all.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just not going to. And I've not been. I've only played a McDonald's employee on a commercial for the Joyner Show. I've not been in the place of going through the process of working through McDonald's. But I just don't.
I would like to point out this moment that Kwyn is eerily quiet, as if at one point in time she might have climbed over a counter or something.
Or two.
It feels Kwyn's got the energy like, I want to agree, but like that dude.
I've been there, done that.
No, I have not ever climbed over a counter, but I have been punched by police officers. And I will say that I do not believe
this has got to be triggering for you.
Yes. I think, and I was talking about this earlier this week after MLK, is that a lot of time when we talk about violence against women particularly, because it's the same thing that I heard, after Corinne Gaines was killed. It was like when people talk about violence against women, it's always like it could have been prevented, or like, it was something that she did that caused it or sparked it. Like, and when we talk about this chasm, it's like we're always trying to find I feel like as human beings, we're always trying to find the reason, when really like the reason doesn't justify the conclusion. Period. Like there's no reason why somebody in a McDonald's should have gotten punched by a police officer. Like the two don't make sense. And I think that's what's hard for human beings to grapple with, is that we know that doesn't make sense, but we're so complacent and we're so ingested by saturated by the violence of police that now has just become really normalized. And so I just keep thinking about that black woman.
That is so wrong. I'm just thinking about that black woman. Like, she's somebody's daughter, like she's somebody's sister, she's somebody's niece, somebody's cousin, she's
a
human being.
I just don't think about it that way. So I was just sitting here like, damn, I hope she's okay. And
and that is something that we should follow up on, Kwyn, because you're absolutely right. We don't think about the individual and them being a human being and not deserving that, while we've become so conditioned to seeing this happen, and we should not. We absolutely should not.
No. This should never be the norm.
Myra J. This looks like an event you would have attended. Soul Fest Punta Cana.
So what happened there? I heard about that and I had thought about going.
It's been, it was billed as an R&B lover's dream vacation, Soul Fest Punta Cana, in Punta Cana, one of the several 3-day music and comedy festivals put on by a promoter called Music Getaways in beach destinations. They canceled at the last minute. People had paid their money. They were, getting ready like the day before. They were leaving out on a Sunday to go, and they got emails that Soul Fest Punta Cana was canceled at the last second. One woman said that I feel like all packed and nowhere to go. Imagine anticipating this trip for months. My husband put this trip together for us in celebration of our anniversary. And cancellation emails, which were sent out midnight Saturday by Music Getaways, blamed the host venue for the abrupt notification, saying, "We sincerely apologize for this sudden inconvenience. We are also taken aback by this news and are working diligently to overcome this obstacle as quickly as possible. It was followed by a statement from Punta Cana's Hard Rock Hotel, which places the blame on music getaways. And their statement said the promoter failed to pay for the block of rooms they booked. Always goes back to the promoter.
Fire Festival Black version.
Yep.
Yeah.
They said a few people came down early and they were shocked. They didn't have rooms.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, that's what we call professionally a hot mess.
Yes, Myra, is what the professional calls it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I apologize. I need to run. I just found out something that I got to take care of before.
Oh, I know. Bigger name. We got that. Have fun.
We used that term "bigger name" earlier today, didn't we?
We sure did. We sure did.
Have a great week, y'all.
Great show, Shantae.
Yeah. Ladies, we're going to close out with entertainment, and this is a really big deal for people in the music business, in the entertainment. The Songwriters Hall of Fame has announced their newest celebrants, their latest class. It includes the writers Snoop Dogg, Gloria Estefan, Sade, Teddy Riley, amongst other names, which is really pretty cool. The 7 writers from the class of 2023 will be inducted at a gala June 15th at the in a New York City hotel. Snoop Dogg hits like "Drop It Like It's Hot," and Gin and Juice will be joining rappers such as Missy Elliott and Jay-Z in the hall. They're already there. Estefan is credited for popularizing Latin rhythms with the crossover hits like "Rhythm Is Gonna Get You" and "Let's Get Loud." Yeah. And then, of course, Miss Smooth Operator herself, Sade, and The Sweetest Taboo. And the gentleman is Jeff Lynne from ELO. He wrote Evil Woman, one of my favorites. Oh, wow. And Alanis Morissette of Ballard helped Alanis Morissette's Monster 1995 album, Jagged Little Pill, and several writing credits on Michael Jackson albums, including Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous. Teddy Riley, the singer-songwriter producer, is credited with creating New Jack Swing, and of course the anthems like My Prerogative, Keith Sweat's I Want Her, and this, as they say, this class represents not just an iconic group of songs, but also diversity and unity across genres, ethnicity, and gender. Songwriters who have enriched our lives and in their time literally transformed music in the lives of billions of listeners all over the world. That's from Nile Rodgers, who knows a thing or two.
Oh, yeah.
And talking about that is the Hall's chair, the Hall of Fame's chair. So good on them.
Congrats to all of them. That's a heck of a list right there.
It is. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, we're going to close out with Yogi's Jewel, our daily inspiration. Good news nourishes the soul, and it flourishes, and reinvigorates the universe. So share it. Inhale good news, and exhale the bad news. Bad news. Thanks, guys. Ladies,
thank you.
I appreciate you. We'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Aloha.
Bye-bye.